This is Diesel We the People News. I found this one. Y'all check it out. I'm not an attorney, nor care to be an attorney. Anything I say is just my opinion. This is just a learning video and newsworthy. Alright. It's about an officer, DPS in Wichita Falls.
I'm a criminal defense attorney in Fort Worth, Texas. A large percentage of my practice involves defending highway drug interdiction cases throughout the state. I'm here today to tell you a story about a former state trooper that has not yet been told, and I think it needs to be told.
Former Wichita County DPS trooper pleads guilty to one charge and is placed on 2 years probation in a drug evidence tampering case. 47-year-old Chad Harden of Iowa Park accepted a plea deal to tampering with or fabricating evidence with intent to impair an investigation.
Chad Harden was a trooper stationed in Wichita County, which is Wichita Falls, and he was just wreaking havoc on the public. Wichita County, or Wichita Falls in Texas, is a major crossroads with 287 running right through it. And 287 is the main highway for people traveling from Colorado and actually even California, coming down off of I-40 to the southeast United States. Mr. Harden was stopping traffic left and right. He's lauded himself as being the #1 interdiction trooper in the state of Texas, and I believe that's accurate. His arrest rate was much, much higher than those of his similarly situated peers. I actually had my own background investigation done on him and everything, and let me tell you why. When people get arrested for having small amounts of marijuana or THC or something like that, generally speaking, if the officer arrested him fair and square, he didn't lie about the reason for stopping him, or he didn't lie about the reason, his justification to search him, treated him with the respect that they were due, there's no hard feelings.
All right, we all be careful. Have a safe trip.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let me make it real.
Okay.
Be understanding.
Yes, sir.
There's a closure with my client as we're walking out of the courthouse. They're not mad at that officer. He was just doing his job. But not with this guy. Never with this guy. People loathed him as they were walking out, and often, said that he fabricated the reasons for stopping him, or fabricated the reasons, said he smelled something that he didn't smell. I believed him. I didn't hear this elsewhere in the state. Other counties I was coming from, people would come walk out of the courthouse, they wouldn't say that trooper lied on me, but I got that a lot with this guy. He stopped a lot of people, and for very, very small amounts of cannabis or THC, really, really wreaked havoc on them. In particular, the patients, the people that were traveling with medications that were legal in their state, or it was legal in the state where they had bought it or whatever, and they were just passing through Texas. They'd leave out of here with a felony.
Discover more.
So anyway, I received a notice from the state indicating that it's called a Brady notice, and that's where the state has to disclose to you if there's something wrong with their case. And I had a number of cases in Wichita County involving this trooper, and they just basically said that if you were to ask Texas Ranger Weaver about the honesty of this trooper, he would say that he doesn't believe he's honest. And that was all this Brady notice said. I thought there's got to be a lot more to this. This doesn't sound to me like he told this Texas Ranger a fib while they were having coffee. There's certainly a lot more going on with this case. The cases I had involving this trooper were all felonies, and first the state offered to reduce them to misdemeanors when I started questioning this Brady notice I got, and I wasn't accepting that. And then they dismissed the cases outright. And then now certainly I was very curious what happened. Well, lo and behold, a few weeks later, this trooper had resigned, and he had been accused of mishandling evidence, tampering with it. But he was also charged with possession of a controlled substance. So that certainly piqued my interest as to just exactly how he'd been mishandling it. Now, the media just blew right past it.
Harden was involved in scores of traffic stops and drug cases in past years, most along US 287. Hundreds, if not thousands, of pounds of marijuana and other drugs were seized, along with, in many cases, thousands of dollars in cash.
Apparently, they just weren't asking the right questions. And immediately I started asking a lot more questions. I hit the Department of Public Safety with a flurry of public information requests, and they were opposing me at every turn. The main one that kind of left me dead in the water was that it was pending a prosecution. This happened all back in 2019, right before COVID hit, so there's been a lot of delays anyway. But on a weekly basis, I started checking the mainframe up in Wichita County to see when the criminal cases against this trooper were disposed of. And as soon as they were, then I was right back on their doorstep. Highway patrol cars in Texas, they have cameras hidden in the headliners of the patrol car. And that's one of the things that an interdiction trooper will do, is they'll stop you and they'll just be just as nice as they can possibly be. Oh, you were speeding, but I'm going to give you a warning. You know, come on back here and have a seat in my car. You know, let's be friends. You know, back there, and getting you back there so that they can have an on-camera interview with you. They're getting ready to interrogate you on the side of the road on camera.
You ever been arrested for anything? Where you been arrested? Possession of marijuana.
Part of my request was I wanted all videotapes from this trooper's car. I wanted not only the one pointed through the windshield, but I wanted the videos of what's going on inside the car. And lo and behold, I got the answer that I was suspected. You know, I've had a lot of clients over the years wonder when the police took their marijuana if they weren't using a little bit of it themselves. And I can say that there have been times where I had a client that had just been to wherever it is they got what they got, and they knew that the weight or the measurements of what they had in their possession was exact. And when we get the lab report back, it's a little light in terms of what the person says they actually had when they got arrested. Doesn't happen often, but it does happen. That seems to be a prevailing question that a lot of people that have had their marijuana taken from them by an officer, if that's not what's going on. And that's what was going on here. This trooper stopped a man on his way back from college. Mr. Harden was stopping traffic.
Sorry about that. So that attorney, or whoever he is, says it don't happen often. I wonder why it don't happen often, y'all.
These functions were again, but I saw them over the years. He was their poster boy. You know, he was their golden boy. And I have little doubt that there's going to be law enforcement officers watching this video. And if you've got an officer that's standing head and shoulders over their peers, you know, all things being substantially the same in terms of the volume of calls, volume of activity and all that, but if they're standing head and shoulders over their peers in the number of arrests they're making,
discover more.
Instead of focusing on how they're doing everything right, you might better be looking to see if they're doing something wrong. Good example with this trooper. Now, a lot of times, he had a reason to stop people or whatever. I mean, they made it easy for him. They were speeding or something like that. But I had a lot of instances with this trooper where it was something he claimed to have seen, but it was always, when I would go back and look at the video, what he saw was so far out of range of the camera, you really couldn't tell. I didn't get that with other troopers. Other troopers, if they said, you know, the driver failed to stop at a designated line, I could go right back to that video and see it. And in high frequency with this trooper, that wasn't the case. Unfortunately, when it's subjective like that, where it's where a court has to rely on an officer's word that he did see that, and there's nothing else to support that, most judges will go with that officer. So I think that this could be a good wake-up call that your rock star may not be. I would just like to know why this guy got such a good deal in the justice system, because that's not what I've seen with other people. And I mean, it just seems to me like he should have been made an example of rather than shielded from the consequences of his actions. On these 20 other cases, these weren't cases where there was a custodial arrest. These were cases where a citation was issued, personal use. These 20 cases are just a 6-month period involving this trooper.
Just telling my cousin I got pulled over after the fact that we don't, just being honest, you know what I'm saying?
The problem with most people when they get stopped in this situation, they think if I'm just extra nice, I can talk my way out of this situation. And the police can ask anything they want, and you're free to answer it if you want to, but there's going to be consequences. And one of the favorite things the cops will do is they'll say, you know, if you're just honest with me.
If you only have a small amount and you're upfront and honest about everything, then I'm not going to take you to jail.
Basically, make it easier on yourself by telling me, you know, that you've got something, and they do. They can't confess fast enough.
I'm a pothead, you know what I'm saying?
And of course, the officer may not have had any reason to search the car at all, but once you admit something's in there, there you go. They're in your car. The best way to survive any police encounter is to say as little as possible, do as little as possible, and be as polite as possible. You know, don't offer anything, and you don't have to answer these questions. When I speak of the Texas Department of Public Safety, I think I travel the state. I go to rural counties where there's really nothing but, well, if you look at the map there, you'll see that every one of those counties I've been there at least once, and most of them multiple times. I think I'm in a better position to speak about our highway patrol than any other lawyer in the state. It's my hope that this man never wears a badge again.
Well, there you guys go. These are for We the People News. What do you think? I think this happens more often than what he is claiming. It's just as not as probably often as this cop did it, which makes it not noticeable. But district attorney always covers up, and judges in most cases cover up the officer's discretion, let's say. All right. Till next time. Bye, y'all.